The morning air felt heavy in Seoul as Admiral Jinsu Kim walked toward the Earth Defense Headquarters. The building rose like a silver spear against the blue sky. Jinsu had been up all night after receiving a strange message. His comm device buzzed again as he reached the entrance. "Admiral Kim, please confirm your arrival time," said the electronic voice. "I'm entering the building now," Jinsu replied, his face serious. Something big was happening. The Deathworld Alliance never called emergency meetings. Inside, people rushed around with worried faces. Jinsu made his way to the secure conference room where Ambassador Minji Lee already sat reviewing files on her tablet. "Ambassador?" Jinsu nodded as he sat across from her. "Any idea what this is about?" Minji shook her head. Her dark hair was tied back neatly, but worry lines creased her forehead. "Nothing concrete. The message was encoded at the highest level. All I know is they requested our xenobiologist specialist by name." "Taeho Park," Jinsu said. "He's still in the Amazon studying those new fungal adaptations, isn't he?" "Yes, we've sent a hypersonic to bring him in. He should arrive within the hour." The door slid open and General Hyun stepped in. He looked like he hadn't slept. "It's worse than we thought," the general said, placing a secure data cube on the table. "The Alliance has called in representatives from all 17 Deathworld species. This hasn't happened in 50 years. Jinsu leaned forward. "What could unite all Deathworld species? They barely tolerate each other." "That's the question, isn't it?" General Hyun tapped the cube and a holographic map of the galaxy appeared with several planets flashing red. "These are all Class 3 and Class 4 Deathworld planets, all reporting some kind of crisis in the past month." Minji studied the map. "No details on what kind of crisis?" "None shared officially, but our intelligence suggests a biological component." The room fell silent. Biological threats were taken extremely seriously by Deathworld species. Their harsh home planets had made them tough, but also gave them unique vulnerabilities. Taeho Park wiped sweat from his forehead as he studied the glowing blue fungus. The Amazon was hot and humid, but he hardly noticed anymore. After 3 months, in the field he had adapted to the conditions. The fungus was remarkable. It had developed a symbiotic relationship with local insects that reminded him of alien biology he'd studied. His comm device beeped loudly, startling a flock of birds. Overhead, nobody contacted him directly out here unless it was an emergency. "Dr. Park," he answered, standing up straight. "Dr. Park, this is Command. We have a transport incoming to your location. ETA 10 minutes. Pack your essential equipment only. Priority Alpha." Taeho's heart raced. Priority Alpha meant global or interstellar crisis. "Understood. What's happening?" Briefing. "Upon arrival, the Deathworld Alliance has specifically requested your presence." The connection cut off. Taeho quickly packed his samples and equipment. The Deathworld Alliance wanted him? That made no sense. Earth was only a Class 4 Deathworld, barely noticed by the older, more dangerous planets. The Alliance was dominated by species from Class 5 worlds, planets so hostile that most humans couldn't survive there without heavy protection. The hypersonic transport appeared above the trees minutes later, descending into a small clearing. Taeho jogged toward it, his mind racing through possibilities. Back at headquarters, Minji reviewed Earth's standing with the Alliance. 35 years ago, when humans first made contact with alien life, they learned that the galaxy classified planets by habitability and danger. Earth was labeled a Class 4 Deathworld, not the most dangerous, but certainly not a friendly place, by galactic standards. "The gravity alone makes us unusual," she muttered to herself. "Not to mention the oxygen levels, radiation, and biological diversity." Her assistant, Sunho, looked up from his station. "Is that why they want Dr. Park? Because of his work on environmental adaptations?" "Possibly. Taeho is the leading expert on how species evolve to survive hostile conditions." Minji paused, considering. But why now? And why the secrecy? Her comm device lit up. "Ambassador, Dr. Park has arrived. Admiral Kim requests your presence in briefing room 1. Taeho looked tired but alert as Minji entered the room. His field clothes had been replaced with a standard uniform, but he still had dirt under his fingernails. Jinsu and General Hyun were already seated. "Dr. Park, thank you for coming so quickly," Jinsu said. "I apologize for the abrupt extraction." "When the Alliance calls, we answer," Taiho replied. "But I don't understand why they need me." General Hyun activated the wall screen showing a secure transmission. "This arrived 6 hours ago. It's from Speaker Hyuk Cho, our liaison to the Alliance." The face of an older Korean man appeared on screen. Though human, his skin had an odd grayish tint from years living in non-Earth atmospheres. "This message is for Earth Command and the specialists named herein," Speaker Cho began. "The Deathworld Alliance has called an emergency session. Earth must send representatives immediately. Admiral Kim will lead the diplomatic team. Ambassador Lee will handle negotiations. And Dr. Park's expertise in adaptive biology is specifically requested." Speaker Cho's expression grew more serious. "I cannot share details through this channel, but prepare for Level 1 biological protocols. The situation affects multiple Deathworld species and may pose an extinction-level threat." The message ended. Silence filled the room. "Extinction level threat?" Taeho finally said. "To Deathworlders?" Minji shook her head in disbelief. "That shouldn't be possible. Deathworld species are the hardiest life forms known." "Whatever it is," Jinsu said, "we leave in 2 hours. A security team led by Captain Bora Yoon will accompany us. Pack for extended deployment." The diplomatic vessel Harmony prepared for departure from Earth's orbital dock. Inside, Bora Yoon checked her team's equipment one last time. 6 security specialists, all with combat experience on non-Earth worlds. "Remember," she told them, "we'll be in close quarters with representatives from Class 5 Deathworlds. Many of them could kill a human accidentally just by bumping into us. Stay alert but non-threatening." "Yes, Captain," they replied in unison. Across the ship, Taeho unpacked his portable lab equipment. The ship's science officer, Do Yun, helped him set up. "I've never seen this level of biological containment on a diplomatic vessel," Do Yun commented. "Neither have I," Taeho admitted. "Something has the Alliance scared, and it takes a lot to scare beings from planets that make Earth look like a paradise." On the bridge, Jinsu reviewed the flight plan with the pilot. "The meeting point is Terminus Station," the pilot said. "Neutral territory, specially designed for multi-species gatherings." Minji joined them, carrying her diplomatic materials. "I've been studying the Alliance voting procedures. If they've called a vote, it could change Earth's standing." "For better or worse?" Jinsu asked. "Unknown," Minji replied. "But whatever's happening, it must be significant. The Alliance doesn't change classifications without overwhelming evidence." The ship's engines hummed to life. Through the viewports, Earth grew smaller as they accelerated away. Taiho watched his home planet disappear, a blue marble against the blackness of space. "Initiating fold space jump in 3 minutes," announced the ship's AI. Jinsu looked at his team. "Whatever we find at Terminus Station, remember that we represent all of humanity. This could be the most important mission of our lives." The stars stretched into lines as the Harmony jumped to fold space, carrying Earth's representatives toward an uncertain meeting with the galaxy's most dangerous species. What none of them knew was that by the time they returned, Earth's place in the galaxy would be forever changed. Terminus Station hung in the darkness of space like a giant metal star. Its 5 points extended outward from a central hub, each built to house different atmospheric conditions. As the Earth ship, Harmony, approached, Taiho pressed his face against the viewport. "It's enormous," he said. Admiral Jinsu nodded. "Built by the Alliance 50 years ago. The only place where all Deathworld species can meet safely." The ship docked with a gentle bump. Captain Bora Yoon gathered her security team near the airlock, checking their environmental suits one last time. "Remember," she said, "some of these species breathe gases that would burn your lungs. Others have skin that secretes toxins. Stay in your suits unless we're in the human safe sections." Ambassador Minji adjusted her formal diplomatic attire. "How do I look?" she asked Jinsu. "Like someone ready to represent Earth?" he replied with a small smile. But his eyes were serious. Just remember, many of these species don't understand human expressions. Keep your face neutral when possible. The airlock hissed open, revealing Speaker Hyuk Cho waiting for them. Though human, his years living in alien environments had changed him. His skin had a grayish tint, and his movements were slow and deliberate, adapted to higher gravity worlds. "Welcome to Terminus," Speaker Cho said, bowing slightly. "The assembly has been waiting. Follow me and stay close." They walked through corridors built oversized to accommodate larger species. Through reinforced windows, they could see other parts of the station where strange atmospheres swirled, some green, some purple, all deadly to humans. "The situation is grave," Speaker Cho said as they walked. 17 Deathworld species are here. Some have traveled across half the galaxy. "What exactly is happening?" Taiho asked. "The message mentioned biological threats?" Speaker Cho stopped, walking. "It's better if Counselor Krell explains. He's experienced it firsthand." The assembly chamber was a massive room with tiered seating. Each section had different environmental controls. Some areas glowed with heat that would melt human flesh. Others were so cold frost formed on the outer barriers. In the center was a neutral speaking platform. As the Earth delegation entered, all eyes turned to them. Some weren't even eyes as humans would understand them. Sensory organs of all types, focused in their direction. "Those are the humans," a voice translated into their earpieces. "So small and soft-looking. Their planet is only Class 4, another voice commented. What can they offer?" Admiral Jinsu led them to their assigned seats, standard Earth atmosphere, with slightly higher gravity than they were used to. As they sat, Taiho noticed many of the alien representatives showed signs of physical stress. A massive being with rocky skin had visible cracks along its surface. Another creature with multiple limbs was missing 2 of them. "They're injured," he whispered to Minji. "Many of them." Before she could respond, a deep tone rang through the chamber. From the largest and most heavily reinforced section rose an enormous creature. Its body was covered in thick armor plates with glowing red lines between them. Multiple scars crossed its surface, and one of its 4 arms was clearly artificial. "That's Counselor Krell," Speaker Cho whispered. "From Mortis, the original Class 5 Deathworld. He's over 300 years old." Counselor Krell moved to the central platform. When he spoke, the universal translators made his rumbling voice sound almost human. "The Assembly recognizes Earth's representatives," he said. "Admiral Kim, Ambassador Lee, and Dr. Park. Welcome to the Deathworld Alliance." Jinsu stood. "We are honored to be called, Counselor. Earth stands ready to assist." Krell's body shifted, plates sliding against each other. The translators didn't capture what this movement meant, but it seemed like approval. "I will speak plainly," Krell said. "A crisis threatens all Deathworld species. A pathogen has emerged that specifically targets the biological adaptations that make us strong." He gestured to the various injured representatives. "You see before, you the survivors of initial outbreaks. I myself lost 20% of my protective plating to this disease." Taiho leaned forward, his scientific mind already working. "May I ask a question, Counselor?" "You may, Dr. Park. How can one pathogen affect so many different species? Our biologies are vastly different." Krell's red lines pulsed brighter. "An excellent question. This is why we requested a xenobiologist. The pathogen seems engineered to target stress response systems, the very adaptations that let us survive on Deathworlds." Murmurs spread through the chamber. "Engineered?" Minji asked. "Are you suggesting deliberate action?" A new voice joined in. A slender being with reflective blue skin stood from another section. "I am Representative Zilks of Hydros. My world has lost 30% of our coastal populations. The pathogen adapts to each species it encounters. Natural evolution cannot explain this." Admiral Jinsu's face darkened. "If someone is targeting Deathworld species, this is an act of war." "Perhaps," Krell rumbled. "But first, We must understand the threat. This is why Earth was called. The chamber grew quiet. Bora's security team tensed, hands near their weapons. Explain, Jinsu said. Krell moved closer to the Earth section. For the past 10 years, we have monitored Earth's response to disease outbreaks. Your species has an unusual approach. You adapt culturally and technologically, rather than biologically. That's because Earth changes too quickly for biological adaptation alone, Tejo explained. Our species had to develop flexible response systems. Exactly, Krell's voice boomed. While other Deathworld species evolved specific biological defenses, humans evolved adaptability itself. Speaker Cho stepped forward. The Alliance believes Earth's approach may be the key to fighting this pathogen. You don't rely on the specific adaptations being targeted. Minji looked thoughtful. So you want our help creating a response plan? More than that, Krell said. We have called a formal vote. Based on your species' unique psychological adaptability, we propose reclassifying Earth. The chamber erupted in sounds, clicks, rumbles, high-pitched whines as various species debated. Admiral Jinsu stood straighter. Reclassify? To what? Krell's forearms spread wide. To Class 5 Deathworld status, not for your planet's physical dangers, but for producing a species with unmatched psychological resilience. The human delegation looked at each other in shock. Class 5 status would completely change Earth's standing in galactic politics. I call for the vote, Krell announced. Lights appeared above each delegation section. One by one they turned, green as each species voted. When the final light changed, the result was unanimous. It is decided, Krell declared. Earth is now classified as a Class 5 Deathworld, with all rights and responsibilities thereof. Speaker Cho turned to the humans with a grim smile. Congratulations. You've just been promoted to the galaxy's elite survival specialists. What happens now? Taiho asked. Krell's body shifted again. Now, Dr. Park, you help us understand what's killing us. Ambassador Lee, you will coordinate with all affected worlds. And Admiral Kim... He paused, his massive body lowering slightly. Admiral Kim, you must prepare your species for the possibility that whoever created this pathogen will not be pleased by this alliance. A curved screen appeared in the center of the chamber, showing maps of affected worlds. The red zones of infection were spreading rapidly across dozens of planets. The Council has another vote to consider, Krell continued. We must decide if we will share our suspicions about who might be behind these attacks. You have suspects? Bora asked, speaking up for the first time. Krell's armored plating clicked together. We do. The timing is concerning. This outbreak began shortly after the Gentle Worlds Association denied our petition for equal trade rights. The Gentle Worlds? Taiho asked. The Class 1 and 2 planets? Speaker Cho nodded. Species from Paradise, worlds. They've always feared Deathworld species. They believe our natural adaptations make us too dangerous. So dangerous that they'd commit genocide? Minji asked, horrified. That, said Counselor Krell, is what we need to determine. And, quickly, before more of us die. The Earth delegation looked at each other. They had come seeking answers but found themselves thrust into a potential interstellar conflict. And now, with Earth reclassified, they were no longer observers. They were primary targets. We need to see the data on this pathogen, Taiho said, firmly. All of it. And I need to contact Earth Command, Admiral Jinsu added. If we're now Class 5, our defense protocols must change immediately. As they spoke, a new alarm sounded through the chamber. One of the representatives collapsed, oozing a strange fluid. Medical teams rushed in. It's spreading, Krell announced, grimly. Even here on Terminus, the Deathworld Alliance is under attack. The medical bay on Terminus Station buzzed with activity. Taiho had never seen so many different species being treated in one place. He stood in a sealed observation room, watching the medical team's work. The pathogen affects each species differently, said Dr. Junho Kang, Earth's top epidemiologist who had arrived on an emergency transport. Tall and thin with steady hands, Junho had fought disease outbreaks across 3 continents. But there, Must be a common factor, Taiho replied, studying the screens showing microscopic views of infected tissue samples. No natural disease jumps between such different biologies. In another room, Admiral Jinsu and Ambassador Minji met with Dongwu Choi, a human diplomat who had worked with the Gentle Worlds for years. Dongwu's face was serious as he spoke. The Gentle Worlds deny any involvement, he said. But their recent actions are concerning. They've increased security around their systems and canceled several joint projects with Deathworld planets. Minji frowned. That could just be fear of contamination. Or guilt, Jinsu added. What's your assessment? Dongwu? Dongwu tapped his fingers on the table. The Gentle Worlds have always feared Deathworld species. They believe your natural advantages make fair competition impossible. Competition for what? Jinsu asked. Resources, territory, influence. Dongwu shrugged. The galaxy has limited habitable worlds. Deathworlders can live on more planets than they can. Minji's eyes widened. So they might see this as evening the playing field? It's a possibility we can't ignore, Dongwu said quietly. Captain Bora Yoon led her security team through the lower levels of Terminus Station. Speaker Cho had mentioned suspicious activity in the cargo bays. The corridors here were dimly lit, and designed for maintenance drones rather than people. Stay alert, Bora told her team. We're looking for anything unusual in recent shipments. They split into pairs, checking inventory records against physical cargo. An hour into their search, one of her officers called out, "Captain, over here." Bora rushed over. The officer pointed to a small container hidden behind larger crates. It had no markings or shipping codes. "Scan it," Bora ordered. The scan showed organic material inside, possibly biological samples. "Don't open it," Bora said. "Call Dr. Park and get a containment team down here." Taiho and Junho arrived with a mobile containment unit. They sealed off the area before carefully transferring the mysterious container inside. "This could be our first real lead," Taiho said, as they brought it to the secure lab. Inside the lab, High Commander Vrex waited for them. He was from a Class 4 Deathworld with heavy gravity. His species had 4 arms and thick, leathery skin that now showed patches of strange discoloration. "My people have lost thousands already," Vrex said, his translated voice heavy with emotion. "If this container has answers, we must know." Under strict protocols, they opened the container. Inside were vials of clear liquid and data chips. Junho carefully extracted the vials while Taiho examined the data chips. "These aren't medical samples," Junho said after running preliminary tests. "They're synthesizing compounds, building blocks for creating biological agents." Taiho plugged a data chip into a secure terminal. His eyes widened as he read. "This is a research log. Someone was studying the specific defense mechanisms of Deathworld species." "Who?" Vrex demanded. "The logs are coded," Taiho replied. "But the research is incredibly detailed. Whoever did this has been studying Deathworld biology for decades." On the medical research vessel Horizon's Hope, now docked with Terminus Station, Minji coordinated communications with affected worlds. Each hour brought news of new outbreaks. The ship's command center had screens showing 17 different planets, all with spreading red zones of infection. "Ambassador," called one of her assistants, "we have an incoming transmission from Counselor Krell." Krell's massive form appeared on the main screen. "Ambassador Lee, we've lost contact with 2 outlying colonies on Mortis. The pathogen is spreading, faster than predicted." Minji felt a chill. "We're working as quickly as we can, Counselor. Dr. Park and Dr. Kang may have found important evidence." "Time is running out," Krell rumbled. "The Alliance leadership has voted to enact defensive protocols. We are preparing for potential conflict with the Gentle Worlds." "That could start an interstellar war," Minji protested. "Perhaps," Krell replied. "But extinction is not an option we will accept." Taiho called an emergency meeting of the science team. On the table between them sat the evidence they had gathered: genetic sequences, infection patterns, and the mysterious research logs. "The pathogen isn't natural," Taiho explained to the gathered specialists from various worlds. It's been engineered to target specific stress response systems. Junho pointed to a diagram showing how the pathogen affected different species. It's a multi-phase attack. First, it identifies the key survival adaptations. Then it turns those adaptations against the host. Like an autoimmune disease? Asked a scientist from another Deathworld. Similar, Junho agreed. But more sophisticated than anything we've seen before. A scientist with translucent skin that revealed pulsing organs beneath spoke up. But why are humans resistant? Your world is only newly classified as Class 5. Taiho pointed to human DNA sequences. We think it's because humans don't have one specific adaptation. We have thousands of small ones. Our strength is variability itself. And our immune systems evolved in an environment with constant change, Junho added. Earth has gone through so many climate shifts, environmental disasters, and human-caused changes that our bodies had to become adaptable rather than specialized. Admiral Jinsu, who had been quietly listening, finally spoke. So whoever designed this pathogen didn't account for human adaptability? Exactly, Taiho said. They targeted the specific adaptations of established Deathworld species. They didn't realize that humans represent a completely different evolutionary strategy. Bora continued investigating the security breach on Terminus. She had traced the mysterious container to a supply ship that had docked 3 weeks earlier. The ship's logs showed it had previously visited a Gentle World outpost. We need to inform Admiral Kim, she told her team as they hurried back toward the main sections of the station. As they rounded a corner, Bora spotted movement in the shadows. Stop, she called out. A figure bolted down a side corridor. Bora and her team gave chase, following the suspect through maintenance tunnels and service areas. Finally, they cornered the figure in a dead-end passage. Show yourself, Bora commanded, weapon ready. The figure stepped forward. It was a slender being with pale blue skin and large eyes, clearly from a Gentle World. In its hand was a small device. It's too late, the being said in perfect standard language. The purification has begun. Before Bora could react, the being pressed the device. Alarms blared throughout the station. In the lab, Taiho's equipment suddenly showed new readings. Something's happening, he said urgently. The pathogen is changing. On screens throughout the station, infection maps showed red zones rapidly expanding across multiple planets. It's accelerating, Junho said in horror. The pathogen is entering a new phase. Admiral Jinsu's comm device buzzed. It was Bora. Admiral, we've captured an operative from the Gentle Worlds. They've activated something. The whole station is on alert. Counselor Krell's voice boomed over the station-wide communication system. Attention, all representatives. We have confirmed evidence of deliberate attack by elements from the Gentle Worlds Alliance. The pathogen was engineered as a biological weapon against Deathworld species. Screens throughout the station showed the captured operative and the evidence Bora's team had found. The Deathworld Alliance is now in a state of emergency, Krell continued. All resources will be directed toward finding a cure and identifying those responsible. In the science lab, Taiho and Junho looked at each other. The weight of responsibility pressed down on them. Millions of lives across 17 worlds now depended on their ability to solve this biological puzzle. We need to call Earth, Taiho said. We need every expert we can get. Junho nodded grimly. And we need to work fast. Because if the Deathworlds go to war with the Gentle World... He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Everyone knew that such a conflict would tear the galaxy apart. As if to emphasize the point, another alien representative collapsed nearby, their body showing the telltale signs of infection. The hidden threat was now fully in the open and racing against them all. Earth's orbital research station, Resilient, buzzed with activity. Within days of the crisis announcement, the station had transformed into the command center for fighting the pathogen. Scientists from all over Earth worked alongside experts from other Deathworld planets. Taiho stood at the main view screen studying data from the latest tests, His brother, Seojin Park, had joined the team. While Taiho understood biology, Seojin was an AI specialist who could see patterns others missed. The pathogen's structure is almost like computer code, Seojin said, pointing to sequences on the screen. See these repeating patterns? They're too perfect for natural evolution. Taiho nodded. It's designed to read the host's DNA, identify survival adaptations, and then attack them. In another part of the station, Junho led tests on tissue samples from various species. The lab was specially built to handle dangerous materials, with multiple containment layers. Each species shows a different response, Junho explained to Admiral Jinsu and Ambassador Minji. But the end result is the same. The pathogen turns their strongest defense mechanisms against them. How is it spreading so quickly? Jinsu asked. Junho pointed to a simulation on his screen. It has multiple transmission vectors, air, touch, bodily fluids, and it can survive in environments that would kill most microbes. Minji looked worried. Do we have any good news? Actually, yes, Junho said. Human samples continue to show strong resistance, not immunity, but our bodies fight it off much better than other species. Why? Jinsu asked. We think it's because of Earth's unique history, Taiho said, joining them. Humans have faced thousands of different diseases over our evolution. Our immune systems are generalists, not specialists. And there's something else, Seojin added. The pathogen seems programmed to target specific adaptations, but human adaptations are too varied to target effectively. Captain Yoonji Han stood on the bridge of her ship, resilient as it prepared to leave Earth orbit. Her crew was loading medical supplies and equipment for the hardest-hit Deathworld planets. Captain, all supplies are secured, her first officer reported. We're cleared for departure. Yoonji nodded. Set course for the Mortis system. They've been hit hardest and have the most advanced medical facilities. If the treatment works there, we can adapt it for other worlds. As her ship accelerated away from Earth, Yoonji thought about the responsibility on her shoulders. The diplomatic channels were already tense. 3 Gentle World outposts had been attacked by angry Deathworlders seeking revenge. A full-scale war seemed increasingly likely, unless they found a solution soon. Back at the research station, Taiho made an important call. The face of Alliance Elder Thrak appeared on the screen. Thrak was the oldest living Deathworlder, his species known for their incredible longevity. His skin looked like ancient tree bark with deep grooves and patterns. Dr. Park, Thrak's translated voice sounded worn. What have you discovered? Elder Thrak, we've been studying historical disease responses on Earth, Taiho explained. I wanted to ask if you've seen anything like this pathogen before. Thrak was silent for a moment. Not exactly like this, but there was something long ago, before most species joined the galactic community. Taiho leaned forward. What happened? The ancient worlds, those who explored space first, they sometimes used biological agents to clear planets for colonization, Thrak said slowly. They called it environment adjustment. You mean they intentionally killed native species? Taiho asked, horrified. Yes, the methods were similar. Target, the specific adaptations that let a species thrive in their environment. Thrak's eyes looked tired. But those days ended thousands of years ago. The practice was banned. But the knowledge might still exist, Taiho realized. In ancient databases or private collections. Yes, Thrak agreed. And the Gentle Worlds include descendants of those ancient civilizations. After ending the call, Taiho brought this information to the team. Junho immediately saw the connection. That's why the pathogen structure seemed familiar, he said. It's based on ancient bioweapons but updated with modern techniques. Seojin added, if we're dealing with an evolved version of ancient tech, we might need equally ancient solutions. On D. Mortis, Yoonji's team worked with local medical experts. The situation was grim. Entire cities were under quarantine, with thousands dying daily. In the main hospital of the capital city, Yoonji met with Dr. Junho, who had traveled there to oversee treatment trials. How are the new protocols working? She asked. Junho looked tired but determined. We're seeing some improvement. The treatment slows the progression but doesn't stop it completely. It's not enough, Yunji said, looking at the wards filled with suffering patients. No, Junho agreed. We need something more radical. When they returned to the ship to communicate with Earth, Admiral Jinsu's face appeared on the screen. Behind him stood Taiho, Seojin, and a new face, an elderly man with deep wrinkles and clear eyes. This is Alliance Elder Thrak, Jinsu introduced. He arrived on Earth yesterday to work directly with our team. We've been reviewing Earth's historical responses to pandemics, Taiho explained. Everything from ancient plagues to modern outbreaks. And, Yunji asked, we think we have a solution, Taiho said, but it's controversial. Back on Earth, government leaders from around the world gathered in an emergency session. Admiral Jinsu stood before them, explaining what the science team had discovered. The pathogen was designed to target specific adaptations, he said. But humans don't rely on single biological adaptations. We've survived by constant change and adaptation. Throughout our history, Taiho continued, humans have faced countless diseases. Each time some people died, but others survived because of slight genetic variations. Our strength is our diversity and our ability to change. What are you suggesting? Asked one of the world leaders. Taiho took a deep breath. We call it Protocol Darwin. Instead of trying to create a traditional vaccine or cure, we use controlled exposure to help each species develop resistance naturally, just as humans have done throughout our evolution. You want to intentionally expose people to this pathogen? Another leader asked, shocked. In a controlled way, Junho explained. We would use weakened versions carefully monitored. The process would be voluntary and begin with those already showing natural resistance. This goes against standard medical protocols, a third leader pointed out. Yes, Jinsu agreed, but standard protocols aren't working. The pathogen evolves too quickly for traditional approaches. Elder Thrak, who had been quietly listening, spoke up. In my long life, I have seen many crises. What impresses me about humans is not your technology or your strength, but your willingness to try new approaches when old ones fail. The room fell silent as everyone considered the proposal. 2 weeks later, the first trials of Protocol Darwin began on Mortis. Volunteers from each Deathworld species received carefully controlled doses of weakened pathogen strains. Taiho and Junho monitored every patient personally, working endless hours. It's working, Junho said one night, looking at the latest test results. Their bodies are developing resistance. Slowly, but it's happening. Taiho nodded tiredly. The key was letting their immune systems learn, rather than trying to do the work for them. In another part of the facility, Minji met with representatives from the Alliance. Earth is opening its full medical databases to all Alliance members, she told them. Everything we've learned from thousands of years fighting disease. This is unprecedented, one representative said. Such knowledge is usually closely guarded. Not anymore, Minji replied. If we're going to survive, we need to work together. A month after Protocol Darwin began, the infection rates across Deathworld, planets began to drop. It wasn't a miracle cure, many still died, but for the first time the outbreak was retreating rather than advancing. On Terminus Station, the Alliance Council gathered again. Councillor Krell, still showing signs of infection but clearly recovering, addressed the assembly. The human approach has proven effective, he announced. Their Protocol Darwin has given our peoples a fighting chance. The Earth delegation sat together, tired but proud. They had worked without rest for weeks, pushing themselves beyond normal limits. The Alliance has called for a final vote, Krell continued. Based on the evidence before us and the extraordinary adaptability shown by humans in this crisis, I propose that Earth be recognized as the #1 death world in the known galaxy. One by one, the lights above each delegation turned green. The vote was unanimous. It is decided, Krell declared. Earth now stands as the primary death world, not for its physical dangers, but for producing a species whose adaptability surpasses all others. As the Earth delegation accepted this honor, messages arrived from the front lines. Protocol Darwin was working on all 17 affected worlds. The death rates were dropping dramatically. Humanity had found a solution where no one else could. And in doing so, they had earned their place as the galaxy's ultimate survivors. 1 year after the crisis began, the Great Hall of the Galactic Council shimmered with light. Unlike the Deathworld Alliance, the Council included representatives from all classified worlds, from the harshest death worlds to the most peaceful, gentle worlds. Today's session was historic. Admiral Jinsu Kim stood tall as he led the Earth delegation into the chamber. Behind him walked Ambassador Minji Lee, Dr. Taiho Park, Dr. Junho Kang, and Captain Yunji Han. They took their seats in a section marked with Earth's new symbol, a planet with the number 1 beside it. Across the chamber sat representatives from the gentle worlds, their faces showing a mixture of fear and shame. Evidence had confirmed what many suspected. A secret group from their worlds had created and released the pathogen. The council leader, a tall being with crystal-like skin, called the session to order. We gather today to formalize the new agreements between the Deathworld Alliance and the Gentle Worlds Association, and to honor those who ended the greatest health crisis of our time. Counselor Krell, now fully recovered thanks to Protocol Darwin, spoke first. For too long, the galaxy has been divided between worlds based on their physical conditions. The recent crisis taught us that such divisions lead only to fear and ultimately to violence. His massive form turned toward the Earth delegation. It was humans, newcomers to our galactic community, who showed us a better way, not through superior strength or advanced technology, but through adaptability and cooperation. Ambassador Minji rose to address the council. Her voice was clear and strong as she spoke. Earth stands before you as a bridge between worlds, she said. We understand both hardship and peace. Our planet has regions as gentle as a Class 2 world, and others as harsh as any Class 5. This diversity shaped our species and our thinking. She displayed a document on the main screens. Today, we propose a new galactic accord that prohibits biological warfare in all forms. Additionally, it establishes open exchange of medical knowledge between all worlds, regardless of classification. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Such openness was unprecedented. A representative from a gentle world stood. Why should we trust Deathworlders with our knowledge? Your adaptations make you dangerous. Taiho stepped forward to answer. The pathogen crisis proved that isolation leads to fear, and fear leads to conflict. But it also showed that diversity creates resilience. Together, we are stronger than apart. The debate continued for hours. Finally, a vote was called. One by one, worlds cast their decisions. When the final count appeared, the new accord had passed with a narrow majority. The Galactic Accord is ratified, announced the council leader. And as its first act, we recognize the newly formed Interspecies Research Initiative, led by Dr. Taiho Park of Earth. In a quieter ceremony the next day, representatives from all 17 affected Deathworld species gathered in a memorial garden. At its center stood a monument, a sphere with 17 points, each representing a world that had suffered losses. Taiho walked slowly through the garden, reading the names of species and individuals who had died during the outbreak. Millions had perished before Protocol Darwin could be implemented. The weight of those losses still hung heavy in his heart, even amid their success. Elder Thrak joined him, moving slowly with his ancient body. You seem troubled, Dr. Park. I keep thinking we could have saved more, Taiho admitted. Thrak's weathered face showed a gentle expression. That is why humans succeeded where others might have failed. You never accept that some losses are inevitable, is he? That a compliment or a criticism? Taiho asked with a small smile. Both, perhaps, Thrak replied. Your species pushes boundaries that others accept. It makes you dangerous, yes, but also invaluable. Aboard the Earthship, Unity, now the flagship of the reformed Deathworld Alliance, Admiral Jinsu met with military leaders from various worlds. Captain Bora Yoon presented evidence on the main screen. We've confirmed that 7 gentle world governments were involved in creating the pathogen, she explained. but many others had no knowledge of the plot. A commander with scaled skin and sharp teeth growled, "They should all pay for what happened to our worlds." Jinsu shook his head. Punishing the innocent alongside the guilty would only create new enemies. The responsible parties are facing justice through the council. "Your approach is unexpected," said another commander. "Most dominant species would use this opportunity to seize power." "That's not our way," Jinsu replied simply. "Earth leads, by example, not by force." In Earth's new embassy on Terminus Station, Minji hosted representatives from several gentle worlds that had broken away from their association. These worlds sought new alliances with Earth and the Deathworlds. "We admired how Earth handled the crisis," said one representative, a slender being with gossamer wings. "Your people shared knowledge freely, even with former enemies." "Earth has learned through our own history that revenge only continues cycles of violence," Minji explained. "We've had enough wars on our own world to know they rarely solve problems." Another representative, hesitant at first, asked, "Is it true that humans are teaching other species your adaptive thinking methods?" Minji nodded. "Dr. Kang has established training centers on 6 worlds already. The methods are simple but effective. Focus on flexible responses rather than fixed solutions." 6 months later, Junho stood before a mixed class of students from 12 different species. Some had exoskeletons, others multiple limbs, a few breathed through gills. All were learning Earth's approach to medical challenges. "The key is to never become too specialized," Junho explained. "Nature constantly changes, so our responses must change too." A student with 4 eyes raised a hand-like appendage. "But specialized adaptations made our species strong." "They did," Junho agreed. "Until they were targeted. True strength comes from diversity and adaptability." After class, Junho received a message from Taeho. His friend's face appeared on the screen, tired but excited. "The new combined research initiative is working," Taeho said. "We've already developed early detection systems for 3 potential new pathogens. Working together is proving more effective than any of us expected." On Earth, a special museum, open to display artifacts and information about Earth's new role in the galaxy. School children toured exhibits showing the different classifications of worlds and species. At the center stood a holographic display of the phrase, now famous across the galaxy. "If you want to survive, ask a human." Captain Yunji watched as visitors from other worlds studied Earth's history of disasters, wars, and recoveries with fascination. What humans saw as normal, constant change and adaptation, seemed extraordinary to species that had evolved in more stable environments. "They're so interested in our disasters," she commented to Seojun, who had joined her for the opening. "What we see as trauma, they see as training," Seojun replied. "Every challenge Earth faced made humans more adaptable." The final meeting of the council that year included a formal reclassification ceremony. Earth had spent a year as the #1 death world. Now, something unprecedented was happening. Councillor Krell addressed the chamber. Based on continued observation and the success of human adaptive methodologies across multiple worlds, this council proposes a new classification. The room grew silent. Earth will now stand alone as the galaxy's only Class 6 death world, not for its physical dangers but for producing a species whose capacity for adaptation represents both the greatest hope and potential challenge our galactic community has ever known. As the vote passed unanimously, Jinsu, Minji, Taeho, Junho, Bora, and Yunji stood together. They had come a long way from that first urgent summons just 1 year ago. "What does this mean for Earth going forward?" a council member asked. Minji stepped forward to answer. "It means we will continue to serve as a bridge between worlds. We will share what we've learned through our difficult history so that others may benefit without having to suffer the same challenges. And we will remember," Taeho added quietly, "that our greatest strength comes not from being stronger or smarter than other species, but from our willingness to change when change is needed." As the council session ended, requests flooded in from across the galaxy. World seeking human experts, human education, human perspectives. The phrase had spread even further. If you want to survive, ask a human. And in the stars beyond, watching, this small blue world that had risen so quickly from obscurity to leadership, the galaxy wondered what these adaptable beings would do next.